We're talking with Rabbi Leib Troper. It is approaching the 8th night of Hanukkah. We talk about the Rabbim, the majority, Miyad, Mi'atim, that were able to overcome the overwhelming odds against them, the small amount of Jews taking over in the victory, thanks to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, of those who were against us. Obviously, unity had something to do with us, but unity doesn't necessarily imply uniformity. It implies differences. How does the idea of Achdus help us understand bringing Jews closer together and understanding the ultimate victory for all of us as Klal Yisrael together?
Thank you, Peretz. That is really the theme of a lifelong aspiration, which we'll discuss in a moment. I think that the Shalach Kodesh writes on the pasuk in next week's parsha in Vayechi, He'osfu va'agidu lachem es asher yikra lachem ba'achras hayomim. Yaakov Avinu calls his children together. He's He'osfu, get to come together, and then I will tell you what will happen to you in the end of days. The Shalach Kodesh, you please look it up. Don't have to trust me. Shalach Kodesh says the condition to agidu lachem es asher yikra lachem ba'achras hayomim, in order to be zeichet to achras hayomim in the proper way, He'osfu, get together, unity. Not like you said, unity, profoundly, not uniformity. We're all different. Shvatim were different. We have differences, Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Hasidim, Litoim, amongst, then you have Hungarians, and you have within the Hungarians, you have different kinds of Hungarians. Within the Sfardim, you have different kinds of Sfardim. Within the Litvish world, you have different Litvish worlds. I mean, it's always, there's such diversity. So the idea, how Elef Alpha Havdalas Nietzsche put the same concept of unity, not uniformity, he called it harmonious diversity. That is another cliche of how he used it to express the concept of unity and not uniformity. Harmonious, yes, but diversity. Everybody's on their own. Everybody has their own tafkid in life. People wake up in the morning and they think, what does Hashem want? For what? What did God return my soul for? I have a mission. But the same God who returns Chavetz Chaim's soul returned your soul. We each have our mission. And then we figure out what our mission is, and we know what our mission is, and we move on. The Medrash Tanchum in Dvarim talks about the power of Achdus, which you mentioned regarding Chanukah, the Milchama of Rabbim B'Yad Ma'atim. And it's not only Rabbim B'Yad Ma'atim. We say in the Alanisim, in Davening, Hanesrei, Tmeim B'Yad Tahirim. And I think Rabbi Rucham, in his Sefer on Mamorim that he talks about Musa, is the Kasha. What is this Tmeim? What Rabbim B'Yad Ma'atim? We understand the miracle of Rabbim. There was multitude. There was many people in the hands of few. That is a profound miracle. But what does Tmeim B'Yad Taharim got to do? What kind of miracle is Tmeim B'Yad Taharim? So he says, apparently, it's obvious, I would say use a strong word than apparently, it's obvious that the Koyach HaTumah is much stronger than the Koyach HaTahara. And therefore they could do terrible things, even physically, to Klal Yisrael, that more than the Koyach HaTahara could do. So that's what the miracle was. And the Koyach HaTumah did not defeat the Koyach HaTahara, which is really kind of a weaker Koyach, and not the stronger Koyach. So that's in terms of that part of the Nes. There's no question that, like I mentioned before, too close is never too healthy. You can't be so much so. I think the Stipler Rov writes in a letter about unity. He talks about the concept that it's hard to have a situation where you're so much so like one that you don't even feel the other person is another person. There is no other person in your life. You have a spouse, you have a friend. Your friend is so much like you. You talk to him the way you want. You could say things the way you want. You could do all kinds of things the way you want. You could treat him or her like just an extension of yourself, and you could say all kinds of words, hurtful or not, to them because it's all one. That oneness, as L'havdil again, of Avdalas Nietzsche said, let there be spaces in your togetherness. And the Chazal even treat a woman. We talk about V'hoyu l'basar echad, there should be one, but there is a space in that one. Chazal say that we should never ever, we should not at all treat our wives, our spouses, like it's really one. They remain friends, and he's the most best friend that you have. Your spouse is your best friend, the most important friend, but there has to be some distance. There has to be some spaces in the togetherness of people in order for another person to respect someone. As Mr. Stapler wrote in his letter. And there has to be that space in the togetherness, because it's just, otherwise you don't feel that there's someone else which needs to be felt in order to go and pursue this unity. Klal Yisrael is kula unity. It's all about unity. Ata echad, v'shimcha echad. God is all unified. There's no fragmentation within God's midas. He's all one. Everything's b'shleimus. If you talk about the ultimate shleimus, it's the Bari Olam. Shleimus in the Bari Olam is a very powerful thing, which I want to share with you in a minute. V'shimcha echad, and your name is one. Even though they represent different things, but there's unity in the ultimate essence of who HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. Umi ka'amcha Yisrael, goy echad. It's one, united. It's not divisible. It's all one. The oneness of the Eibishter, the shleimus of the Eibishter, is much greater than our shleimus. For example, we talk about a shleimus of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Kotzker Rabbi writes, he says, Dvar Hashem, Shamayim Nasu. In the word of God, Shamayim Nasu. So God's unity is so strong that even Shamayim, what's the composition of Shamayim, the words of Shamayim? Eish and Mayim. Water and fire. In our life, in our world, in the physical world, it cannot coexist. We have to have a pot between the fire and the water. But in God's world, there are no, it looks like steers to the flesh eye. It looks like a contradiction. How could water and fire coexist? Mm-hmm. You can't. But in the realm that we cannot see, in the realm that maybe we will see one day, there's no steer. It's all shleimus. The Bari Olam, the Var Hashem, only with Hashem. But the Var Hashem Shamayim Nasu. In his domain, there can be that shleimus. There is no steer. And we don't need science to answer the question, how could God have this coexistence of water and fire? We are diamond to that, and some we in macrocosmic way we have some relation to that. Mm-hmm. We are one unified nation. In the Eibishter's eyes, we're one, and that's why sometimes when we have paronyas, when God metes out punishment, Klal Yisrael, sometimes it's good people and bad people. We don't know. It's just hard to figure out why HaKadosh Baruch Hu does that. It's one nation. It's indivisible. We truly believe that. Imagine if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would only mete out punishment to those who are bad, and the good would only get blessing. You tell me, or anybody can tell me, perhaps, how much bechira, choice there could be for a person to want to do, if he sees in front of him, everybody does something bad, gets punished. Everybody does something good, gets rewarded. So where's the bechira? There's no bechira. The Medrash Tanchuma in the Dvarim highlights a very important point. He says that when Klal Yisrael is together, there's achdus beinehem, afilu avodah zarah shruya beinehem, even if there's idolatry between them, Rachmana litzlan, shechina shruya beinehem, the holy presence of God dwells amongst them. That is the blessing of achdus that we really should. We have that. We have so many such abilities to reach out to the Eibishter, to become close to us in so many ways. There's no, it's a low-hanging fruit in a sense. We could be terrible chas v'shalom, but if you have the achdus with someone else, another person, start with one person at a time. You can't start with all Klal Yisrael. I know that many people would say, "I love all Jews. I'll meet together. I'm fine with everybody." It's not as simple as that. If one says that, then it's a sign that was either fictitious or Fisher Price. It needs avoid. It needs some kind of work. I mean, it really, really needs a lot of work to be able to become in that kind of achdus with other Eden. when somebody becomes, we mentioned before that we said that that there has to be certain spaces amongst Jews have to be able to live with each other, but separate at the same time. There's a thing in psychology, it's called proxemics, which means there's a staleness in relationships between anybody when you're with the person the whole time. Actually, my son-in-law and I went to shul on Tzem Gedalios, to a certain shul in Muncie. And for whatever reason it is, and I'm not going into that, I got a hero's welcome in that shul. It was fantastic. So my son-in-law says, Abba, we should come in more often. I said, no, if I come in more often, I won't get that hero's welcome. It's only because I came one time and who knows how many months that I showed up. Because of this proxemics, when you're there people just take you for granted all the time. It's not, there is a mile in developing that kind of unity with other Jews all the time and getting rid of the staleness, making bir chametz of that staleness in relationships. Whether it's Abbas Reim, whether it's Stam and Achtas and Klai Yisrael, we need to change the verbiage of our life to create more Achtas with other people. We got to stop using invective. We do things that we do things ourselves to create distance between. We have a choice of different, whole smorgasbord of words we could use when we talk to one person. One little word we could create separation between another person. We need to stop using invectives, stop accusations. We need to find ways of making oneness out of two-ness. We need to make that kind of achdas and klaisa, which is the biggest bracha. Shalom, when we talk about the last bracha, which hakol holach achar achitum, the greatest bracha that Klai Yisrael has is shalom. What does the word shalom mean? So the Maral says shalom comes from what? Shleimus. Shalom and shleimus are synonymous. If there's no shleimus with other people, then you can't have shalom with either yourself or with others. You have to have a kind of shleimus. You feel that shleimus is the experience of shalom. If a person is deficient in his shalom, he's deficient in his own shleimus as a yid. He's missing in his wholeness of Yiddishkeit. In order to have a wholeness of Yiddishkeit, a healthy wholeness of Yiddishkeit, he must have this concept of pursuing shalom and achdas. I want to go back for a moment, to the topic we spoke about before, about this achdas thing. I think it's just an important thought. I want you to hear it, because it's very meaningful to me. This is from the Dvarna Rabbi Zechron Levrach. I just remembered it as I was speaking now. I just remembered that. So I figured that I don't want to lose the memory. So I'll save the moment. Vayigash Elov Yehuda. Yehuda came close to who? To Yosef. Not knowing that it was Yosef. Because Binyam was hostage. And he says to him, Bi Adoni, my master, listen to me. Adoni, my father, the master, asked me to take my son down to Mitzrayim. I brought him down. So all he has is this one son from his mother. And the father's going to go, and I took responsibility that I will bring him back. What does this mean? Vayigash Elav? What does it say? Vayidaber Elav? What's Vayigash Elav Yehuda? And the one Rabbi Zechron Levrach says, Parrot, something so beautiful, so profound. He says, the beginning of the tzara that Yosef suffered, because he's a victim of one thing that we spoke about before: distance. Where did we see that? It says, Yosef had dreams. He spoke his dreams. The first thing they did wasn't Damak Hafschus. Vayiru Oisoi Meirachik. Physically they saw him from a different distance, and emotionally saw him from a distance. Yosef is not really part of us. Vayiru Oisoi Meirachik. Vayesnaklu Olav Lahamisai. Then when they planned, only then could you plan to kill somebody, when he's in the distance, when he's away, so far.
Detachment.
Right, then you could plan, Vayesnaklu Olav Lahamisai. I want to kill him. Chas v'shalom. What was the tikkun to that? The tikkun was that it says at the end of V'layachal Yosef leis apek. The ultimate after Vayigash Elav Yehuda, when Yosef saw that the unity was back, with his brothers, Vayigash Elav Yehuda, V'layachal Yosef leis apek, he could not control himself. he burst out and broke out in tears and crying and saying, I am your brother Yosef, ha'oid avichai. And the various mefarshim to that ha'oid avichai, what that means. Rashi says, right when that happened, when he revealed himself, that Vayefk Binyamin cried on his shoulder and he cried on his shoulder. And right, Tzavarov, shoulders. So the Rashi says, what does it mean shoulders? He's in shoulder. He says, Al Shnei Bote Mikdashay Shesidin Libanis Bechelko Shel Binyamin, and they're going to go be destroyed. Those two Bote Mikdashes. Why were they destroyed, parents? Because Vayiru Oisoi Meirachik, we saw each other from a distance. We can't keep on doing that. Vayiru Oisoi Meirachik. He said that's what they were crying. He wasn't crying. He was saying, I know. He was saying, I know. Yosef was saying to Binyamin when he was crying on the shoulders of Binyamin. He said, I know now it's over with. Baruch Hashem Yehuda. But Mamish Vayigash love Yehuda came close to me. But there'll be a day, one day again, that will be again. There's going to be a day again that they're going to see us from a distance. Each one of us will see each other from a distance. And it'll bring the Churban Beis HaMikdash. The unifying sacred place in Klal Yisrael will be destroyed because of our lack of unity. Because Baruch Hu help us. This Chanukah should be the last Chanukah before Mashiach comes.
Amen.
Next Chanukah should be zeichet to make Chanukah Mizbeach together all of the Jews, and hope to see you soon again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Leib Troper. An holistic Hanukkah to everybody.
Thank you.